Welcome to Perspectives in Mobile, the news podcast from the Mobile Ecosystem Forum. Join us discussing the world of telecommunications, technology, and mobile innovations. From Florence, Ricardo Amati.
Welcome to a new episode of my podcast series Perspectives, where we dive deep into the digital revolution and the evolving landscape of tech regulation in this case. I'm your host, Ricardo Amati, and today we are tackling a story that reads like a modern spy thriller. In the spotlight is the Telegram Pavel Durov affair, an intriguing blend of technology, politics, and espionage. Pavel Durov, the enigmatic founder of Telegram, finds himself at the center of a high-stakes drama involving top-secret governmental issues and regulatory conflict. This case is not just about a messaging app. It's a pivotal moment that could redefine Europe's relationship with global tech giants. To unravel the complexities of this affair and its far-reaching implications, we are joined by Innocenzo Genna, strategy and a public affairs consultant, lawyer, with an insight into telecoms and internet regulation. Innocenzo, thanks for joining.
Salve, thanks for the invitation.
Innocenzo's expertise sheds light on how this case could reshape European digital policy, or may not, and what it means for the future of global online platforms. Innocenzo, why is the Durov affair so significant? Is it about freedom of speech?
No, it's not about freedom of speech, because the allegations brought against Durov are a matter of French criminal law, so it's not about opinions, and especially opinions which are examined under the point of view of the European Digital Services Act. This is a matter of criminal law, this is a matter of national law, and the matter why this is so important is that for the first time a national jurisdiction has decided to arrest the chief of a non-European platform, making clear that they are subject to the national regulation, which has created a lot of agitation amongst other CEOs. In fact, it's not a case that the reaction which were more militant, they were from Mr. Musk.
Yeah, absolutely. Elon Musk and all the guys like him are charging against the French judiciary.
Yes, Musk mistakenly referred to freedom of speech, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that there is a risk that a chief of such an enterprise can be arrested for complicity in some wrongdoing referred to the platform. And in the case of Durov, they even are imagining a kind of association in criminal activity.
Let's take aside the espionage part, which could be a fantastic, spy book. But let's see what are the main regulatory issues at the heart of this affair. From the point of view of regulation, international regulation, and the European regulations, how this case could influence, for example, the relationship between the European regulators and the global online messaging platforms, if the case is impacting them.
Well, still we don't know it, because still the case is not clear. Even the press release of the French judge is not very detailed, and so we will learn the allegations brought against Mr. Durov which are summarized in clusters, but we don't have specific information about the specific provision of French criminal law, which are considered to be Durov. So, in part, we are still doing speculations. But first, we must make clear that, recall again, this is not a matter of European law yet. It may become, but not yet, because this is just a matter of French criminal law.
It is, of course, a matter of law enforcement anyway, and this is something that could be tricky because and we're talking about international crimes, and there is one judiciary, in this case the French one, that takes decision that could have been taken in this
Yes.
case by other judiciaries from other countries. So how could we navigate in this domain where there are no international rules regulating the way law enforcement should cooperate internationally? Of course, they cooperate. Policemen cooperate, but it's let's say on a voluntary basis. It's not codified. So, what's your take?
The situation in Europe is the following. Only traditional telephone companies are clearly subject to law enforcement by European member states. For a matter of tradition, because it was normal that when the telephony communications were used, that police could get access to that, and telephone company were obliged to provide some information up to legal interception. The same is not for online platform, especially the one which are based outside Europe, which therefore are not subject to the jurisdiction of member states. However, some cooperation occurs, and I wouldn't say that online platforms are refusing this kind of cooperation. I think they are doing so. Meta, Google, and the others, even Telegram, are cooperating, but it's a kind of cooperation à la page. So it's negotiated with each member states. So it is the result of a balance of contractual power, which means that the online platform concede what they consider is necessary to give in order to keep good relationships with each member states. And normally, the police of member states, they try to get what is necessary for them and trying to keep a good level of working relationship. But now the fact that a national state decide to arrest one chief of a platform is going to unbalance this power. So on one side, member states may become much more aggressive when they believe the online platform are somehow involved in very heavy affairs like pedopornographic content, terrorism, and so on. So you may expect not only the French one, but also other jurisdictions to become more aggressive.
In an article you wrote, you were talking about the possibility that this case, the Durov case, may mark a point of no return in the relations between Europe and global platforms. We were saying it's not about EU regulations, but just, as the relation between Europe, which is very much different from other parts, from the US on the regulation side, and some global network. Could this provoke in the future like a sort of length between the EU and the global platforms?
Yes, I think in my article explained that the real change will be for the time being in the relationship between national jurisdiction and online platform, as far as those relationships are managed, are ruled by national legislation. As regards European legislation and institution, I would say that something will happen because it is a matter of time. Europe has recently, in the last year, adopted new legislation regarding application of rules over online platform established outside of Europe. And we need some time to see the result of those rules. With respect to Telegram, we know that it is already subject to those legislation, Digital Service Act and Digital Market Act. However, Telegram provided data information alleging that it should not be subject to the most important provision of the Digital Services Act, which in fact focus on provides a possibility to apply more stringent rules over platforms which are considered to be very large when they have at least 45 million active users per month. Telegram has provided information whereby they are below those threshold, and therefore they should be subject just to ordinary rules. In case they are notified as a very large online platform, they risk to be subject to a more intrusive monitoring supervision by the European Commission itself. This already happened to most of the big platforms we know, which are TikTok, Google, Meta, and so on. Telegram, up to now, believes not to be part of this group because they consider to have just 41 million active users, despite the fact in the European Union, despite the fact that they are considered to have something like 100 million clients around the world. Of course, this is a matter of methodology, and I'm quite sure that the European Commission was already in the track to examine whether the information provided by Telegram were reliable or not. Can be also a matter of methodology. So it may happen that in the future the Commission will decide that Telegram is a very large online platform under the Digital Services Act, and then they will be subject to more important legislation, especially with regard to content moderation and control of all the illicit activities which may happen on the platform. But still, if this happens, will be a matter of, let's say, a relationship between Telegram and the European Commission. Will not be a matter of criminal law, which is still a special, an exclusive competence of national states.
But anyway, you see the role of the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act in the future playing a role in shaping interaction with the global tech companies like Telegram.
Yes. Yes, in fact, I mean, once it will be made clear that the Digital Services Act applies to Telegram, but the main consequence is that the European Commission will charge Telegram with heavy pecuniary fines up to 10% of the global turnover. So they will not arrest the chief of the company, but they can impose very important fines.
Yeah, and just continuing from this. So, what are the possible long-term impacts of this case on the digital and mobile ecosystem in Europe and beyond? What could happen because of some, is it? It is food for thoughts. What's happening with Telegram, really? So, what could change in the future?
For sure, there might be a rebalancing of powers between online platform on one side and national states and European institutions on the other. So, because it's clear that now national states are ready to arrest the chief of the platforms for complicity, for association, so on, and that's create a lot of agitation in those people who maybe are based in California or in China or in Abu Dhabi, but they know that when they take it in a plane and they go somewhere, they can risk to be arrested. That will make a lot of change. And on the other side, it is clear also from other sources that the European institutions are increasing their powers vis-à-vis those platforms because they are time by time preparing all the tools of instruments they have in order to make clear that those platforms comply with European law. So there is an increase of power from member states and the European institutions. And then what I've been, in my article, I've been envisaging is what can happen with the matter of encryption, because it's a very debated item in the market. First, let's say that we learned from the Durov case that Telegram is less safe than we expected, because all the expert of the matter, me, I'm a lawyer, I'm an attorney, so I'm not an IT guy, but what I learned from more expert colleagues is that Telegram, of course, is a wonderful platform, but it is not that secure, that protected as we imagined. I mean, it's not an end-to-end encryption unless it is a request on demand, but in general, the communication of Telegram are accessible. Probably the reason why it was considered a very safe place was that it was considered to be quite independent from big states. So it was considered to be independent from US, from EU, from Russia. We don't know what is the truth there. I mean, but clearly that was the perception of the market. What we learned that in the reality is not that difficult to get access for national jurisdiction to the communication through the through Telegram, and so that some criminals can be discovered. And by the way, it is also just an assumption to say that criminals also use Telegram. So I think that they may use whatever. I mean, I wouldn't say that Telegram is a platform. Is it just maybe you find a lot of uncomfortable content, but
it has been popular from what we can see, but it's not the only. Uh, what about Innocenzo? What about the balance, the need for security and privacy, and the demands of innovation and digital freedom, even if it's not the case, as we said from the beginning? But how should European regulators balance those two needs, privacy and freedom?
I can give my personal opinion. I'm very worried when I see that jurisdictions, states, politicians, they want to lower the level of security on the large platforms with the idea that this is necessary to catch criminals. Because by doing so, you just lower security for everyone. But then, criminals are very smart when they're using this kind of communication, and then they will do their affairs through other communication. They will not use, of course, Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever. It's very easy in the internet to discover or to develop another communications encrypted means of communication system, and therefore they will continue to do whatever they want. So on one side, you lower safety and security for people. On the other side, you don't really get the objective to fight or to block criminal activity. So I'm very worried about, but I'm aware that there is an increasing trend by governments to try to limit, regulate encryption in a way that you can get access to some communications and not to others. I understand. I mean, I also am quite. I'm aware that governments, they are trying to achieve a legitimate objective, because this kind of trend starts from the fight against pedopornographic content and fight against terrorism and so on. But again, even if the objective is that important, that legitimate, you must also consider that there might be some collateral damages deriving from some technical choices, which at the end do not really provide you with the objective you were trying to target, and on the other side, you make all the internet much more unsafe. That is something that we have to think about.
I think in this case, it's very interesting. Maybe you remember, of course, I'm sure you remember the Anon case. It permitted to capture so many criminals, but of course, even people that had nothing to do with criminal gangs was listened by the FBI, hundreds of policemen that were following this case. In conclusion, is there any else that you want to add about this case, and in general, what could interest? What was the interesting part of this case for the mobile ecosystem in general, for managers of these companies that are in this world? What's the main point they should try and focus when thinking about the Pavel Durov case?
What I think is that we may have a more balance of rules of jurisdiction between European and non-European players, because until now, as a matter of fact, there are non-European players which, with respect to the law enforcement's matters, are subject to European rules, as I told you, à la page. So, as a consequence of some kind of negotiation, while European players are subject to the same rules, but on the basis of clear rules or clear framework. I think from this point of view, probably this case will bring to a more level playing field of having everyone subject exactly to the same rules, to the same risk, to the same duties, which means for European players nothing is going to change, because they are continue to be subject to the same rules as it was, while non-European players, they will start to be more cautious.
Thank you, Innocenzo, for exploring with us the regulatory aspects of the turbulence that has hit Telegram. Thanks for your insights. Innocenzo Genna, strategy and public affairs consultant, lawyer, expert on the EU telecoms and internet regulation. Thank you again. And that's all for this episode for Perspective, the MEF podcast, where experts, industry leaders talk about what they think, see, and expect in the world of technology, telecommunications, and innovative mobile services. Stay tuned. From Riccardo Amati, goodbye and good luck with your work.
Thanks for listening to Perspectives in Mobile. Join us next as we explore telecoms, technology, and mobile innovations. Stay tuned, stay connected, and let's unlock the mobile potential together.